Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Can we talk with Monique? I am Monique. How are you guys doing? I know I've been away for a while. I haven't uploaded any videos, but thank you to all you guys who were watching my old videos, especially when I'm talking. So thank you guys so much for keeping this channel alive and well. And I hope some of the content, truly helped you. I think a lot of us who give commentary on things such as narcissism, maybe toxic relationships, domestic violence. We share these things to help others. So thank you guys so much for subscribing and keeping the channel alive. So definitely I am back, and I am back to talk about a particular situation that has been going on in the newspapers all over YouTube for the past 2 to 3 weeks. Now, I don't like to get involved with gossip or innuendo, but this story really intrigued me. And as soon as I listened to some of the calls that came out, I knew that there was a spirit of confusion involved with this situation. And anywhere there's a spirit of confusion and multiple layers of untruth and lies, the enemy is there. Guys, many of you may not be believers, but I am a believer that what happens in the spiritual realm definitely affects our physical realm, right? And I believe in the fact that we were created by our creator, right? But this particular situation has intrigued me because I started listening to the phone calls, guys, and I started realizing that there was a pattern. I realized some of the things that we've learned about, like gaslighting, projection. It was just a lot of cognitive dissonance I heard in some of the phone calls. And one of the things that I figured out was there was a spiritual thing going on very early on, but not until last week and this today, which is October the 17th, did it get confirmed. I said when I first listened to the first and second phone call with the players, and I'm going to lay out who the players are, and not players, but the people who are involved in this case, right? So this episode, I'm just laying out the actual fabric of who's involved. Now, there's some other YouTubers who have laid this stuff out, and from different perspectives and different standpoints. For example, there's Pam Esquire, her channel, she calls them Law Intellects, which is so really cool. She's an attorney, so she's looking at it from a spiritual point of view. Then there's Chronicle Speaks. She does like entertainment news of that nature. Then there's, oh my gosh, there's two other women, but I'm going to list their information down below. And there's other people giving their commentary on this as well. But I want to look at it from a spiritual standpoint, because immediately when I heard this story, after the first 2 or 3 calls, I was like, Lord, Shirley, who has bewitched you? And I wasn't joking about that. I knew there was a spiritual aspect. I knew that this was deeper than what everybody thought that it was. People thought this was just a situation of somebody that was just kind of shaky and shisty, but it was spiritual. And a lot of us who've dealt with individuals on that spectrum, whether you want to believe it or not, there's witchcraft involved, whether you want to believe it, understand it. And this case right here, when you listen to it and I lay out some of the information for you, you'll realize that when you were involved with these people, the strongholds that were on you, the soul ties that were on you, you were bewitched. So I'm going to get into this story, and this is for commentary and educational purposes, not to throw shade or to demean or belittle anybody's relationship or to down people, to kick people when they're down. But we need to take this and learn from it, because when I listen to some of these calls, I remember I behaved in some of the same ways that Miss Strawberry did. And we'll talk about that. So we will come back in about 30 seconds. Okay, guys, welcome back to our channel. Can we talk with Monique? The channel where we talk about things such as maybe toxic relationships. We talk about sometimes there's, unfortunately, in these relationships, there are violence that occurs. We talk about narcissism. We talk about a rather, other things. But today we are talking about the case of Shirley Strawberry and Ernesto Williams. There's a channel called Phone Calls from Prison, y'all. And whoever is in charge of this channel, actually, I don't know if you know what FOIA is, but FOIA is the Freedom of Information Act. And what she was able to do was to fill out paperwork, documentation, submit it, I guess, to the prison, and were able to get phone calls that were made between parties, and they were released on her YouTube channel. It just so happened that these phone calls were of Shirley Strawberry and Ernesto Williams. And I know you guys are probably saying, what are you talking about? Who are these people and why does it matter? So let me just show you who these people are and just lay out the groundwork for you so you can understand who we're talking about as we go on. So this right here, this beautiful woman, and I think she's about 68 or, hold on one second, I think she's about 68 or 69. Her name is Shirley Strawberry, okay? She's a well-known radio personality on a well-known talk show, morning show, with her boss, who we know as Steve Harvey. Okay. So I really don't think if she had not been on this radio show or was employed by such a well-known celebrity, would we even care? But this is who she is, Shirley Strawberry, and this is important. A part of her morning show host duties is to do something called the Strawberry Letter. And the Strawberry Letter is typically women. I don't know if men write in because I really don't listen to radio anymore, but they write in. I used to listen to that show. They write in and they get relationship advice from her. That's really, really key in this whole situation. So just keep a mental note of that. They write into the show and they ask Shirley Strawberry for relationship advice. Okay. And she gives relationship advice. And it's on a whole plethora of relationship situations. Okay. So this is the first person that's involved with this situation. All right. So let me go to the next person who's involved with this situation. Let me share my screen. This is the other person that's involved, her husband. Her husband is Ernesto Williams. And I think the court date as of October the 17th, they said he was 58 years old. Okay. And so he is married to Shirley Strawberry. They have been married since 2015. Okay. So this is the other person that's involved in this situation and those phone calls. Okay. Now, what we're talking about here is the spiritual, financial, and health implications of toxic relationships and narcissism. Now, I am not a doctor. I'm not Dr. Ramani. However, I'm looking at things from a spiritual standpoint. And I knew right away, like I told you guys, that when I heard of all the confusion, all the multiple layers, and guys, you rest assured, all the layers have not even been peeled back yet. But today, well, last week, I already knew that there was some sort of funny business going on as it related to the spiritual realm. I knew there was some manipulation, domination, and that's what we call witchcraft. And a lot of us who may have been in these relationships, I repeat again, with people who behave and can check off those boxes from that DSM-5, a lot of them went and consulted and had us in some strongholds and bound up, if you know what I mean. So let me show you the other players with this, so we all are clear who's involved with this situation. And like I said, I'm not into the gossip and all of that stuff. I'm just not. I just know that, let me find the other pictures. This is another beautiful picture of Shirley Strawberry. Let's see if I can share that. This is another beautiful picture. And guys, let me just be honest. She's what, 69. She is put together. She's fly. Um and that's what I saw on her. Her makeup was always on. Is it on fleek or on fleck? I can't remember. But this is what she looks like. And I'm just showing you some other pictures of her. And let me show you another. So we're all on the same page as to who we are who we are speaking of. Right here is Mrs. Strawberry and her husband Ernesto. Okay, so that's them together. Really nice picture, I think. But unfortunately, I don't know where this woman is right now. I really do feel bad for her. I am extending grace and mercy because no matter what the situation is, when you're involved with somebody who doesn't tell you the truth and you have your own internal issues like many of us had and that are still healing, we have this cognitive dissonance that we just don't even know what the truth is. But if you've been manipulated and there's been some other type of spiritual things going on, I'm extending her grace because I realize that she's been bewitched. And no matter where she is, sis, I'm praying for you. And my belief is that she needs deliverance, and anybody that was involved or has been involved with this case intimately or just in an arm's length, you have to stay prayed up because there's some other things going on in the background, if you know what I mean. Let me go and show you one other picture. So I'm just giving you the people, the players, and I don't like to call them players, but these are the people that are involved with this case. So I'm trying to find the picture here that I'm looking for, but I don't quite see it. Hold on for 1 second. I might have to. No, that's not it. Nope. I'm looking for a picture, one picture in particular, but I'm not coming up with it just yet, so I don't know why. Well, those are the players involved. I wanted to show you another picture. Hold on for a second, guys. Hold on for a second. Let me see if I can find this picture here. But yeah, definitely this is a situation, guys, where it is not a good situation. And the phone calls were requested, and these were phone calls from prison. That's what she calls her channel, which I thought was pretty clever. But you get a chance to see, a lot of us who've been in these relationships, we never knew what we were dealing with. But these phone calls, I'm telling you, a lot of us, you have questions. Sometimes you have this cognitive dissonance and you're like, is this what I really was thinking of? Was it really me? Just listen to these phone calls and you realize what many of us have dealt with maybe all our lives, in our own families, in marriages, in relationships. Many of us have dealt with a person that was so not real. The whole relationship with Shirley Strawberry and Ernesto Williams was a lie. So let me share this so I can just kind of put this into context with you guys, this whole situation and why it's, a big deal for social media right now. This is one of the reasons why. You're looking here at your screen. This is the Steve Harvey Morning Showcast. And this is a dope picture. I think his name is, that's Steve Harvey, of course, in the middle. Right here is Shirley Strawberry. I don't remember the other lady's name, but she's beautiful as well. And I think that's Uncle Tommy. I think he's a relative of Steve. I don't know. But this is the cast. And she's on a well-known, nationwide, syndicated morning show. So this is why this is making news. Her husband right now, the gentleman I showed you, right? Shirley Strawberry, her husband right now is in prison. He's been in prison, locked up in Cobb County. He started out in Fulton County, but he is now locked up, Mr. Williams, in the Cobb County prison. No, I think is it Fulton County? I don't know. He had a hearing today, and I think it was Fulton County. It was at Cobb County. I thought he was still in Cobb County prison. So he has been locked up since last year, I think July. And that's how this whole story started. A lot of things that we've learned in this community, that after you are involved in escape with your life or separate from a person who is on that maybe spectrum or maybe even a sociopath, they wreak havoc in everyone's life. Financially, people are broken, health issues, problems, hair falling out. I think I've done, some videos about that with the loss of hair, illnesses, sickness. Your finances are devastated and you're left a shell of yourself. And so I am going to present to you, and like I said, I'm looking at this story from a spiritual standpoint. The DSM-5 can say whatever it wants to say. It can call this narcissistic personality disorder, and I'm not diagnosed to him. I'm just making an assessment and checking off the boxes. And if the shoe fits, then we're going to have the shoe be worn. But DSM-5 can say whatever, but I believe scripture speaks about these individuals. And when you are involved with them, it's almost like they come for your soul and you're just a shell of yourself. And I guarantee you, if you interview anybody who's been in a relationship with a person that is on that spectrum, they will tell you that it is a serious situation and they have to rebuild their lives one brick at a time. And that's exactly what Shirley Strawberry is having to do. She's having to rebuild her life. She's going to have to if she hasn't started. One brick at a time at 69 years old. Apparently now, from what I can understand, she's possibly, she's working, which is good, but has debt and now this embarrassment. And it's very stressful and hurtful. And I can only imagine what this woman is going through. Because if you've been bewitched, that's somebody who's taking control of your mind, your will, and your emotions. So whereas people can look at this situation and say, well, she knew, she didn't know. If you are under a spell and you don't even know it, it's hard for you to even maneuver. And that's what I'm getting at. So guys, this is Can We Talk with Monique? I'm just laying out the foundation so you can know the players. And these are the two reasons why I'm hitting this from the spiritual standpoint. A week or so ago in one of the phone calls, and like I said, there are women who are reporting on this, but from different aspects. And everybody brings their flavor and their flair to this particular story. Some people, like Pam Esquire, she's covering it strictly from a legal standpoint as an attorney. Others, they have put a little pizzazz on it, and they're giving their commentary one way. I'd like to give my commentary based on the spiritual and the scriptural aspects. Like I said, I immediately knew that there was something really, really stank and rotten in Denmark. And when I saw all of this confusions, I said, Lord, this is witchcraft. But if I would have said that early on, people would have said, how you know? What you know? This is just some man that's cheating. No, ma'am. No, sir. This is not just a simple situation of a man that may have been, disloyal to his wife. This is deeper than that. And the two things that confirmed it because I knew it was deeper. I was like, honey, she's been bewitched. She needs deliverance. But and anybody who's been involved, they need deliverance. This is not something that you can easily get out of. And a lot of us who've been in relationships with narcissists or people who are on that spectrum, it's not easy to get away or to get them out of your system, so to speak. Okay, because there's a soul tie there. But there was two things that happened last week. One of the young ladies that Mr. Williams here on the screen had dealt with allegedly said something to the effect of, she went down to Florida, and I'm paraphrasing, but I got to get those calls lined up. Paraphrasing, she went down to Florida and he had her wash or bathe in the water. And I was like, oh, that was a ritual. He was doing, this is demonic. He got folks performing rituals. So he got her bound up. So it was almost like he got these women involved. And let me just say this, guys. When you have unlawful intercourse, this is my belief, you are now bound with that person in the spiritual realm. And if they are into shaky, demonic, all type of foolishness, you're involved with it now too. So in one of these phone calls, it was just a little blurb. And the person had said in her affidavit, allegedly to the police, and I got to find that affidavit, that she went down to Florida and bathed, and it told her that she needed to go and bathe and cleanse. Those are rituals. The only bathing and cleansing you need to do is in your bathtub to wash up and get the debris and the smell off. Anything outside of that, you are actually performing a ritual. So I don't know who this person was, this woman. It was a woman that allegedly dealt with him and had given him money. But I don't know what she thought. And maybe she didn't know anything scriptural. But she was involved in a ritual that bound him to him. So I don't know who that lady is, but she needs to go and seek some a God-fearing man who knows what to do and to get into her scriptures and to get her life in order, because yeah, it's not a good situation. But the icing on the cake today at the courtroom, and the young lady, hold on, let me get my cell phone here because I want to give credit where credit is due, because I do listen to her channel. She drove to the courthouse today, and actually I could have drove to the courthouse myself too, but I think you got to have credentials and stuff, and I haven't been, but I think I may follow this trial because I'm so close by. So hold on one second. Let me see who this young lady is in the name of her channel. She drove to the courthouse. She was the only camera up in there. Her name is Infamous Sylvia, okay? And she covered this case. So you can go on over to her channel and look at some of the footage. And I will be using some of her footage, but it's only fair when you are using other people's footage, because this woman drove there. She had to get gas, all of that. She put in some work that we referenced her, and you subscribe to the channel to support. But one thing that was mentioned today, that was like, I was like, yep, Lord, I knew it was demonic. Allegedly. Okay, so I'm just laying the groundwork for you, because this has all spiritual, financial, and health implications. And I'm guaranteeing you, Shirley understands what I'm talking about now that she's been, in this marriage. But today in the courthouse, he was looking to get bond because he's been in jail since last year. The judge, during the hearing, okay, it was alleged that a 19-year-old victim said that said person, Ernesto Williams, and this is all alleged, violated her, RA'd her, you can't say those words up here, but violated her in a sexual manner, and said that he was going to help her with her career, but she had to sign a contract. And she had to sign a contract with blood. Yeah, you heard what I said, blood. So I immediately knew right away, because a normal person who's not into the occult, if you want to sign a contract, you can sign on a piece of paper. And I know there's scripture that says we should not take any oaths, any vows, any swear, none of that stuff. This young lady signed, he pricked her finger, and she signed in blood. She's in covenant with this man now. People don't understand that this is real. There are spiritual implications. So it doesn't even matter. And the bad part about this is news has come out that this man had been married to somebody else while he was married to Shirley. And he has been married maybe 4 times, 3 or 4 times. I can't remember. It's so much to this case. So when I heard the confusion, the layers, I was like, this is demonic. And sure enough, today, if I would have said this 4 weeks ago, I knew there was some spiritual aspects to this. Most people would say, how you know? What you talking about? Because if you are studious, if you just look and assess the situation, you know something's wrong. From them phone calls, I was like, ma'am, who's bewitched you, Shirley? Somebody's bewitched you. And I knew who had bewitched her. So even though she might not legally be married to him, she is married to him because she's probably engaged in intercourse with him. And so if you're married to somebody and they're performing these rituals and doing all these different things, well, you married to them in the spirit along with everybody else that has been with them. So guys, this is not a story of rejoicing just to talk about it, but it's showing you how you could get involved with these people and end up destitute, homeless, sick, cancer, kicked out, bad credit, no credit, repossessed. It's like you're starting all over again. And this is definitely a tale, a story that we need to look at and learn from. But the phone calls from prison that were recorded, all of you guys who still have cognitive dissonance, who still are at odds, thinking and ruminating, well, maybe it just was me. Were they really a narcissist? Because you never really get a chance to hear them, because they hide and they lie and they have multiple lives and multiple lies and multiple supply. But these phone calls, I think we could all learn and just listen. And then you should have some resolve and know, this is the MO of a lot of people that we've dealt with. Again, they have multiple supply, multiple lives, multiple wives. I mean, just multiple everything. And they are good with projection, gaslighting, deflecting, withholding information, laughing. And one of the things that disturbed me so bad with the phone calls, guys, and we'll get into the calls and we'll listen to them together, the laughter. He would laugh all the time during times when it was very serious. And I was like, girl, he's not laughing. He's laughing at you. That wasn't nervous laughter. It was just laughter at her. The other thing that disturbed me, and I saw myself in her, Shirley Strawberry, was that anytime she tried to bring up something that she didn't like, he would be like, I can't talk about that now on the phone because people are listening. But, there's other people that are worse off. So we're fortunate, because he knew she had a religious part to her. And she had a lot of empathy. And so he went straight to, we're better off than other people. We lost this stuff, but we going to get it back. And then she would go, yeah, I don't want you to worry. And I'm saying to myself, girl, you don't got evicted. You don't got a place to stay. They done took your car, your ring. They done garnished your check. And you telling him to keep his head up? What about you? But those are the people pleasing, in my opinion, in her. That's just my opinion. putting others before yourself, not showing your own self grace, and allowing people to gaslight you and not stand up for yourself. And that's what I heard in those phone calls. So I want us to listen, not to rejoice at anybody or to gawk at somebody else's unfortunate circumstances, but to learn how this thing really goes down. You can hear the bewitchment, just a total lack of self-awareness. And that's what happens when you're with a narcissist. They take who you are. It's almost like they strip you of your soul, the person that you are, and you forget what God created you to be, what your purpose was, and they strip that from you, and then you become a shell of yourself. And that's what I heard in these phone calls, guys. I don't know every little thing, but I know that there was something spiritual going on here. And definitely there were financial implications. And we know that with narcissists, they're multiple supply. So a lot of times they're sleeping with multiple people unprotected. And there was some indication, I heard in one of the calls or an affidavit, allegedly, that there was a young lady that allegedly said that she contracted some sort of disease that might have been transmitted. And so their health implications, serious health ones, sometimes when people get out of relationships like this, they lose their hair, they end up with autoimmune disease, they end up having a lot of pain, aches, maybe even cancer. And the spiritual implication is that you're bound, your soul. These people strip you of everything that you are. And of course, we all have to take accountability and responsibility. But when somebody outside of you even knowing it bewitches you, manipulates you, controls you, dominates you, and you don't know it, then it's hard to take responsibility when you've been bewitched. You know what I mean? So, guys, this story has plenty of layers. It's a sordid tale. There is going to be a trial. He was in court today to try to get bond. And if you want to know what happened with that, I'll talk about it. But you can go on over to that young lady's channel, and I will list those channels who are giving their commentary on it. But I'm giving a different viewpoint. It's the spiritual aspect. And like I said, right away, when I heard all of this confusion about multiple wives and this and that, and I was like, Lord, there's witchcraft here. But a lot of people, if I would have said that and had been, following this case, from the beginning, like everybody, and said that in a commentary, people be like, well, how do you know? What do you mean? It's just somebody. No, ma'am. When there's confusion, there's no Holy Spirit there, period. There's too much confusion for God to have any part of this. And there's one thing that I could see. Shirley believes in God and she has faith. But what I will say is, a lot of times we do stuff and we put God in it. And God sometimes has, a lot of times, most of the time, 100% of the time, has nothing to do with our own mess, our own sin, our own things we get ourselves into. He has nothing to do with it. And quite frankly, he has nothing to do with this situation right here that I'm speaking of. Because when somebody takes out your will and overrules that with witchcraft, manipulation, domination, you're no longer operating with free will anymore. And that's the thing that God allows us. He lets us sin. He gives us free will. We can do as we wish. He doesn't force us to do anything, but we will certainly suffer the consequences of our actions. So guys, these are the players. Shirley Strawberry. This is her husband, Ernesto Williams. Let me show you her picture again, and I'll upload some of the phone calls, and let's see if we can identify some of the things that we may have heard in our lives when we were with narcissists. Maybe identify the gaslighting, the projection, the word salad, the just the different things that they do. Um, I definitely could hear the cognitive dissonance in the phone call with Shirley. She knows something that's not right. And there was sometimes in these phone calls where she would want to stand up for herself, but then he would go into religion. He knew just what to do when we talk about when you can be spiritually abused too. He knew just where to go. Her spot was the empathy and her faith. And so that's where he would go with it. And then she would just be quiet up. Well, I don't want you to, and then, we'll talk about it. But these are the people who are involved. I know this is a long one. So, guys, like I said, I appreciate you guys so much for, let's see, is it still playing? Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much for sticking with me. I haven't uploaded any videos in a minute, but this story, I think we really can learn from it. And a lot of us can learn why. Why was it so hard for us to let go or to separate from? Or even when we separated, these people were coming in our dreams because there's a soul tie. You can watch the videos on soul ties on my channel. You become knitted in the spiritual realm with these individuals, right? And some of them, it is my belief, they're on assignment. And so you don't have to believe what I believe, but my belief is it why that everybody who comes out of a relationship with a narcissist, they are broke, busted, and disgusted. And sometimes they lose their life because they're on assignment. Some of these people are on assignment. They have alternative means. And you best believe that some of these people, if you were trying to leave or they thought you were a good catch, you could best believe they done went to Obearman, Sangoma, to the local witch to get some spells cast on you, to keep you bound to them in the spiritual realm. And if you don't know anything about the spiritual realm or how to get yourself free, to fast, to pray, to tear down altars, you will be stuck. And so, guys, this is a sordid tale. I don't like covering stuff like this, but I think we can all learn from it. And I think this story will help a lot of us, okay? A lot of people who were still wondering, still, ruminating over a relationship with someone who was toxic. And they use the word toxic, but to me, her whole relationship was a lie. So even though, and it should be a lesson to all of us, they have something called relationship goals on social media. First of all, we shouldn't be living our lives by social media anyway. But in this situation, and those of us who have been through things like this, the whole relationship was a lie. It was a lie. Nothing about it was true, from the marriage to the vows, nothing. And I'm just hoping that she can heal. She can mend her relationships. Because another thing that I've learned, she says something about in one of the calls that she lost all of her friends. But a lot of times what happens is when you're with the narcissist, it's not that they isolate you. And you start thinking, well, they isolate you. And when you look up, there's nobody there. So this is just a situation where we need to learn from it. I'm so hopeful, I'm prayerful that this woman gets the help and the therapy she needs. After this, you need a lot of therapy, prayer, deliverance, and I hope that she can mend her relationship with her daughter. We'll talk about that another time, but I'm not looking at this like this is a life and matter. But the narcissist will fool you, will bewitch you, will put witchcraft on you. And people are like, why can't she see it? Because she's under a spell. Can anybody say a spell, a curse? Yeah, that's really real. So a lot of people are looking at it like, yeah, she knew this. If you are bewitched, you don't really know what's going on. You don't even know who you are. So that's why I'm looking at it from a different standpoint. I hope she's able to heal. I hope she gets the help and the therapy that she needs. This is tragic, it's tumultuous, and her whole life is being played out in the public eye. A lot of us, we've gone through the mill, gone through heartache, trauma, and drama, and it was just us and the people involved, not the whole world and YouTube and the internet, right? So this is hard, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying we need to learn from this and listen to them phone calls and pick out the things that we learn and get into the mind of an Ernesto Williams, so that way we understand what we have been all dealing with, what we may have all been dealing with in certain relationships. And the phone calls are really a window to something that you never get a chance to see. You get a chance to see the multiple sides of the person. You see the side of him talking to his wife. The same day, you'll see the side of him talking to an alleged mistress. Then the next day, you'll see the side of him talking to, a homeboy or somebody that it's another relative. You'll see the different, in my opinion, masks that people can wear. So this may help somebody to heal, somebody to understand that it's not, yes, a lack of judgment, but there's some manipulation that's gone on here. And sometimes it's not just a lack of judgment. Sometimes people understand, why can't I get away? Because you are knit. You are tied. You are bewitched. So guys, this is Can We Talk with Monique. I am back. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, and you know what to do. Hit that little bell and press all, and that way you will be notified of all my uploads. I hope all of you guys are still healing, trying to heal, getting healthy, getting stronger, getting back to yourself, getting back to doing the things that you were put here on this planet, on this in this world to do. That your hair is growing back, that you're gaining the weight or losing the weight, that you're looking back at yourself and you're coming back to yourself. You know what I mean? What they tried to strip away, and that, you're being restored, not only financially, physically, mentally, but also spiritually. So guys, I know it's been a long time. I've been away. Come with me on this journey. We need to learn from this, guys. Like I said, I'm not here to tear this woman down. A lot of people are saying she should know better, but people should know now, if you are spiritually inclined, that there were some things that she didn't know. And if somebody's got you bound up and, your mind is captured against your will, you're going to move differently than if you are doing things of your own free will, if you know what I mean. So again, I am back. Can we talk with Monique? What's up to everybody? Hope everybody is doing well. Continue to watch the videos. I'll link the one on stalking. There's another one on the loss of hair, and I think one's the narcissist will make you sick. And I will list those other channels. And like I said, this video is just giving you the foundation of the phone call so we can listen. And we want to learn. And we want to hear, and you're going to remember the conversations. It may be a little triggering for people because it triggered me just a little bit. And I was like, girl, please. I was right there with you at one point in time, a sacrificial lamb for these folks. And that's what you will become, a sacrificial lamb. They will steal your heart, your soul, your money. You will be the shell of yourself. So guys, just come with me on this ride. And again, I am back. Can we talk with Monique? I am Monique. I'm your host. I've missed you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. I will see you guys on the next upload. All right, y'all. Peace. And I'm out. Bye-bye.